Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnanajnanashalakaya
Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Shri
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Radha Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagara Raghunatha Nikantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadukam Parijayasaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Parana Saranamrita Sita He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Guha Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Namo
Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale
Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Punyavadi Jai Shri Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Asadi Gaurabhaktavind Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
I'll introduce and then this International Society for Krishna Consciousness is an educating institution about the spiritual life of our Vedic culture. Vedic culture does not constitute only rituals, but it is the scientific education of the reality, where the theory is being taught, practical performances to be taught, then realization has to come about, where one realizes his true nature, a real I. So what in the world is not real, it's temporary. Whatever we live the life, whether by the influence of Western civilization or we try to retain some of our home traditions, this life, generalized as Hinduistic life, but it is devoid of real education. But therefore, Srila Prabhupada, our founding Acharya, His Divine Relationship, Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, came to the Western world to teach English speaking. population, the methodology of instilling the true practices of Vedic culture. According to the advancement of the time, our traditions get polluted. We get affected. Sometimes the dominance of other culture, which are not actually culture, but they are thumped upon us, even though we may not be willing, through the power, profit, adoration, that we end up in imitating the others as the standard. But the world history says the Vedic culture of Indian civilization has been the most advanced, even more than 5,000 years ago. The history has to be taken into consideration. The historical references are there. History may be twisted, and that's what the Britishers did when they came to rule India. They saw the culture is the real backbone. And amongst the culture, the practice of bhakti was the topmost, and it was throbbing in the heart of everybody. Thomas Macaulay, who came to represent the eyewitness of Indian civilization during British India Company, which was established. He told the parliament in Britain that he has moved far and wide throughout the length and breadth of India. He has never come across any beggar on the street. That's only about 350 years back. What to speak? They came to conquer India under the pretense of being merchants. But our people took them because culture accepts everybody in hospitality. So they accepted as if they can be absorbed. The Zoroastrians coming from Persia, they landed on the coast of Gujarat because they were ostracized by the Muslims. And they found that at that time the king of Gujarat was very, very benevolent person. Even though there was no language, they said he sent them a full cup of milk, in order to say, our state is full. So the leader of the Zoroastrian, he was a priest. He understood. So he put sugar in it and sent it back. What does it mean? Even though you are full, because the culture is so much advanced that we will dissolve in it like sugar. We will not overpopulate all this or that. So this where the advancement during that time the advancement of the culture. And they were all God-fearing. And they were all glorifying the Lord in order to become, very well civilized. Western countries do not know any civilization. Their civilization is industrial civilization by very ugra karma, means very volatile activities. It's conducted out of mode of passion, not of goodness. And everybody is passionate to make a buck for themselves. You see the history of, conquering the West. People moved to Mexico and California just to dig out gold. This is the history. Where's the culture? They killed the indigenous culture of the Red Indians. Today also, because I have traveled far and wide throughout the United States, they say that they have suppressed all the indigenous Indians, took away their land, but supplied them enough liquor to keep them intoxicated. So they can never rise up. In North Mohawks, north of New York, if you go to Plattsburgh and then go further west, because my sister stays there, I travel to. So there is an aqua sign, Mohawks of the tribe. They are both on the either side of St. Laurent, the river that makes Canada and United States separate. So they rebelled against New York State that you have usurped our land. This is our land. You pay tax to us. There were global hits. I'm talking of about 10, 15 years back. There were big fights, shooting and other things were going on. And the New York State Police, they were raising their hands. Okay. They were finding some other tricky method to keep them under control. They were left poor. So they started casino business. And that time in New York State, there were no casinos. After that, little of north of Albany, the Saratoga Springs and other things, they became the hub of casinos. Because it generates easy money for the state. So this is the kind of civilization. Is it an advancement or degradation of culture? We learn in the history, even United States history, they don't mention anything of any righteous, good, biblical stories, even, of culture. Those things are not there. They don't care. But the long history of the Vedic culture in India, sustainable culture, is still probing in the heart of everybody of some Indian descent. It should be inherited, but we have been not much careful about. So, how to instill the Vedic culture in our children so they can get the rich inheritance. The inheritance that will be beneficial not to the self, but to everybody. They do not simply represent lofty ideals. Oh, we are great and Western civilization is not great. Not like that. How to uplift or evolve mankind. Evolve. The kids are learning science, the Darwinism and other things. They say man came from monkey. Right? What do you say? Right? But do you have any missing link? Right? There are no missing links. Darwin say our ancestors were monkeys. My Guru Maharaj, can see the photo there. Srimati Vedavyasapriya Swami Prabhupada came to the Western civilization to teach them Eastern values of our Vedic civilization. He said, Darwin's father may be monkey, my father was not monkey. So how come we postulate that man has come from monkeys? So one should ask the question, where is the missing link? Where is the proof? How can you assert? You can't assert an assumption. The factual thing. When you go to college, you will learn paleontology and different strata of the earth. And they try to say, oh, the aborigines, their skull has been found in the lowest strata, and the human skulls are on the upper stratum, But at the same time, human skulls are also found in the lower stratum. Simultaneously. So when Srila Prabhupada put in front of his disciples, many were educated, many were scientists, many were, teachers, and every sort of life that they have come. They said Prabhupada is really challenging the Western teachings. They took interest in it. They took interest in this subject, and then they saw Prabhupada is talking sensible. He does not blindly attack anybody. But without proof, you can't postulate anything. You can't give even inference. There are the books, standard declarations that are not there. So, when we talk of our culture and civilization, that culture and civilization does not depend upon the style of living. That does not depend. It is personal asset. It is a personal asset, and we have to value it. What is the value? You may have learned and earned the degrees of PhD or doctor or engineer or this or that, but it has been, obtained for the survival. Is it survival or a wish for better living? But better living depends upon money, asset, or the home and paraphernalia, property. No, real asset is what? Culture. How do we live? How are we? Whether we are progressing, evolving, progressing or evolving. What is our evolution after human being? What is the evolution after human being? Is a human being going to evolve? According to Darwin, he doesn't know. Darwin was a very religious man. And he was intelligent, and he found some things which was puzzling him. But then he said, because he was also God-fearing, he wrote in Origin of Species, his treatise, that I wish God forbid me, because I'm not sure, and my speculations, but my friends are valuing this speculation so much that they want to take away all my opinion, hijack it to use for their purpose and make this civilization godless. So like that. But the religion is the foundation of the culture, and it teaches how to re-establish the culture. So even to become an atheist, but there is nobody like God. Only human being is the topmost. And if you are learned, scientist, this or that, there is nobody greater than us. So they start usurping the position unauthorizedly for themselves, but they got puzzled within themselves. They are always baffled. Astronomers get baffled. The NASA is, changing the stories after stories after stories, and make more complicated stories that do not come to an end. But more deeper knowledge is found in our Shastra that NASA doesn't have about the astronomy. They admit universes are expanding. Means they cannot reach. Their tiny brain cannot reach black holes and other things. Are you taught in school? Yeah. And do you know the Superhadron Collider? You know that. You heard of it. Did they find God particles? Yeah? No. They speculate. And there are some Indian scientists also involved with that. Professor Higgs from the United States and Satyendranath Basu, one Indian scientist. So many things are there. And they call the God particle as the Higgs boson, attributing to these two scientists. But they got baffled. Has anybody gone to Texas? Travel? But I travel a lot. South of Dallas, about 60 miles, there is a Waxahachie town. The I-35 south, west, that it goes there to go to Austin. So in that town, they made an experiment with 10-mile radius tunnel, underground tunnel. And they wanted to split the atom to find the different particles and capture it. They abandoned, they could not succeed. And then they went to near the border of France and Switzerland, where the headquarters is Geneva. There's Super Hadron Collider stationed at 3 different places in 25-mile radius of tunnel, underground tunnel, miles away. And then they were trying to take a speedy photograph with the better than this super, and they try to capture the photograph of splitting the atom and saying that there are antiparticles, coming out, but which one is God particle? They cannot understand. So the creator of this material nature is God, but the creator of spiritual nature is also God. And Krishna claims that he has created. Just like the scientists are claiming, we created God particle. We see it's completely different story. And the macrocosm and microcosm both are so much complicated that our scientists failed in both the places. The cellular structure is very complicated, right? Even the structure of this coronavirus is very complicated. It changes. It doesn't have life still. So who provides the energy? Who is in control? Even corona is a virus, and virus doesn't have a nucleus or a cell wall or anything. It's not an organism. Do you call virus an organism? No. But it does exist. And they are self-replicating. Not only that, they also mutate. Right now, the third Delta variant is spreading in America like anything. Amrish Maharaj Prabhu is watching every day how many thousands of cases are increasing. And there is no remedy for that. All of you got vaccinated? Yes. Huh? Yes. Even the children? You may be too young to get vaccinated. Huh? What is vaccination? What is vaccination? Yeah, you are injected virus in your body. But in a small amount to create antibodies. Because our body has a self-defense mechanism. Who made the self-defense mechanism? Why our bodies did that? Do you think it is simply accidental or a purposeful? So it all depends upon culture. If you do not involve higher intelligence, that is beyond the human capacity. And this higher intelligence is given through some divine arrangement. But those who are favorable to the maker of this material and spiritual world, which Krishna claims, it says very clearly, you have to cultivate faith in him and his workings. Right? Just like you are putting faith in the scientists, whatever they say, we accept. But that is called a blind faith. But here, Krishna advises you that you keep faith, but you verify whether I'm telling true or not. Whatever scientists will say, you can't do it because you don't have that complicated laboratory to perform. Neither you have the same level of understanding or knowledge because you are a student yet. Right? So these people are pushing that. There is which is called atheism. And we go back to our culture for theism, means we invest our thinking, which is not limited. Can you make your mind limited? No. Can you make your intelligence limited? If you get the right source, your intelligence will keep on increasing and increasing. If you know and if you give to somebody, your knowledge is not going to decrease but increase. So why it is, not working according to the physical laws? If you have some money, you give to somebody, then you don't have that much. You have less, right? But the spiritual knowledge, the spiritual thing that you gain, you give to somebody, you increase it yourself. I'm trying to give you spiritual knowledge, all right? And education of our culture and practices that has coming from the ages back as our inheritance. So more I give, more I will be realizing. Where is the loss? So something we have to value. Material knowledge, if you give to somebody, it does not increase by itself. But spiritual knowledge, the knowledge of realization, will put you, and you will gain more and more. So there is no poverty. So this way, in India, there was no poverty. Everybody was so much religiously rich. And by their practice, Thomas McCulloch did not find any beggar when he came to India. And from north to south, east to west, he traveled everywhere, but he could not find a beggar because such richness of the culture. So, what we have to do, we have to be reasonable with us. Instead of blindly imitating the plastic of civilization, religion, everything. They are not satisfied, even though they are one biggest market and manufacturers. They want to grab over that. Right? China has 3 times more land than India. right? It's almost as big as America, the United States of America. And yet, they have hardly 15% of land for cultivation to produce grain. No wonder they can make plastic rice to feed their own people and then export some to make them food. So they have money, but they don't have things to eat. Therefore, they want to grab others' land. It means they are really poor. Who can come to steal? Only a thief. Means the thief doesn't have anything in first place, therefore he wants to come in. We are not thieves. Our culture is not thief. We never conquered anybody. We rather brought them. Come on. And we became, troubled by them. So we have to keep our inheritance intact to protect it. So the cultivation of the spiritual culture is the main subject that Srila Prabhupada brought. And Prabhupada wanted to make a cultural revolution in the Western world. In the Western Europe, about 14 nations are ready to absorb the Vedic culture. They are introducing Sanskrit and recitations of the Vedic mantras in the school. I was looking into that WhatsApp. No, not a WhatsApp, but YouTube. There are so many kids, line up in a big choir, to chant Hanuman Chalisa. And they did. The foreign kids, they say that they call it Indian culture, but it's very culture. They want to instill some part of it in their life. So, what we need to understand from all this is that we need to become little thinking in favor of what we can preserve, what we can gain, and what will be benefiting ourselves. So we try to teach. Right? The first teaching is to glorify Creator, not the creation. Glorify the Creator. Because the amazing ability, independent desire for the benefit of all of his part and parcels, he created this material. To teach them and to bring them back. So, just like we have a tendency to separate ourselves out by different grades and classes, then try to unite, then it becomes difficult. Everybody has a classification. White, I am black. I'm from Andhra and I am from Gujarat. Like that. These are different grades and classification. But spiritual education is so much uniform and same for everyone, whether there are different national, caste, creed, even sex orientation. Everyone, because the jiva or the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. And Krishna wants to address them without any discrimination. So, therefore, we need to glorify him. And how do we glorify him? By chanting his holy name. And we can introduce, we can distribute, and then I will teach you how to chant the holy name. How many of you are chanting? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have your beads with you here? Okay. That's okay. You can chant along with us. Even those who have. But then please give that back. After. No, everybody go up. Better make it fast. Okay. See, if you check your bead, there is a central bead. This is Krishna bead. You want to glorify him. So Krishna's energies are there. They are called gopis also. Go means senses. And our senses are also called go. Go means cow also. The cow or senses. They have direct connection with Krishna. Okay? The consciousness is running through the 5 senses. Therefore, they are alive. Consciousness is this spiritual energy that emanates from the soul who is sitting in the heart, but the super soul is also sitting in the heart. So super soul is the direct representation of Krishna and supplies to the soul, energizes him, and the consciousness is the energy that energizes, is running through the 5 senses. Otherwise, there is no life. So these 5 senses, the sense organs, the objects of sense, all 3 have been already produced by the Lord, and it is supplied to the jiva of the individual. So we are supposed to utilize our senses in the service of the master of the senses. Rishikena Rishikesham Sevanam Bhakti Richate. That is becoming bhakti. If we engage our senses in the service of the master of the senses, it's called Rishikesh. Rishik is senses, and the master of the senses is Krishna. So this is the nature of the consciousness. So when we become Krishna's consciousness, we accept Krishna's whatever he's teaching, his consciousness, and try to serve him through our senses, then it becomes an act of devotion. And love has to be added. Because when you understand that, yes, you depend upon me for everything in your life, to fulfill the life's desire, to keep you healthy and become benevolent to the family members and this and that. All our life system depends upon our consciousness. But the consciousness is the gift for the living entity. When this consciousness is gone, the person is called dead. Right? So, therefore, our life should be centered around Krishna's consciousness, not our own. Then we will remain separate from it. If we think my consciousness does not tally with Krishna's consciousness, then it becomes a non-healthy thing. And we need help. The center deed is Krishna's deed. And all these are the vehicles or the energy which is supplied, energy of consciousness. Therefore, gopis, like go means senses as well as cows. Krishna tends cows, right? Do you think they are ordinary cows? No. The gopis are also there. Cows are also there. And the devotees are also there who use their senses in serving to Krishna. So, we go through the energy praying, my dear energy of Krishna, please teach me how to serve Krishna. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
The word Hara indicates the energy of the Lord. And when we address, it becomes Hare. Who is the best servitor of Lord Shri Krishna? Radharani. She is her potency, Ladini Shakti. Ahlad means the joy of the soul. Ahlad means the joy of the soul. So Radharani has a function to keep Krishna happy all the time. She is the best one who can serve Krishna without any mistake. And she is not envious of anybody. A servant should be without envy. Those who have some little of this envy, then Krishna goes away. The devotional service, bhakti goes away. You can't do bhakti and become envious again. No. So naturally, if you really love Krishna through Radharani, then you will be able to love everybody around it. And which civilization is going to teach you this? Here, survival of the fittest, everybody, this, we were watching Fauci's, Senate proceedings were going on. This Dr. Fauci, the person who funded Wuhan lab to create coronavirus, he is an American, and he gives money to China to make coronavirus. Why? Because he can make vaccination. The vaccine will be produced. He and Bill Gates both are combining in a big venture. They wanted to make a profit fall out. They have so much money, but yet greedy people. Huh? And how many people they killed? Over 4 million in the United States. But elsewhere, even there are less figure for India, about 3 million or something like that. No. And there's an unofficial figure, it will be 10 times more. So anyway, they are not concerned about that politics. But the point is, if there would have been civilization, then any pandemic can be taken care by the efforts of a civilized country. Yeah. So anyway, but meanwhile, everybody's suffering. We have to put masks on, Older people are not to be exposed at all, like me. Yeah. And then actually, and then you go very free without any mask and on your roller skate. I thought that I would be like a small child. I didn't have any problem. But I have a problem. Otherwise, people of my age do not come out from India. Somehow or other. You brought me. Okay, whatever. So we are praying to Lord Shri Krishna and through the energy of the Lord to engage us into devotional service. Otherwise, we call, my dear Radharani, please teach me how to serve Krishna best. Because there is nobody better devotee than you. So we do not cross this central beat of Krishna. We start on the one hand, and if we commit mistake, if we do not pay attention, then the meaning will be not conveyed to Krishna. Krishna is not going to hear if you do not want to call him. But yet mechanically you mumble jumble, then do you think Krishna is going to pay attention? No. This is the direct communication with Lord Krishna. And as if you are attentively chanting, then and then Krishna can listen. All right? So because we are habituated to commit mistakes, we pray to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who brought this technique, that please forgive our offenses. Therefore, we chant his mantra, and you repeat after me. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद and everybody starts chanting Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda.
So anybody has any question about chanting? what kind of vibrations are coming out when you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra? You know, sound waves. When you make a sound, sound travels through the air. Sound also travels through the water. Sound also travels through the metal. You know? So what are these sound waves? Sound was created in the sky. So, therefore, the sense of hearing was also created. In Srimad Bhagavatam, all this systematically explained. Sound was created. Brahma, the first living being, was also educated through sound. Without sound vibrations, there is no perception. All different kinds of waves. Even the touch creates contact. And when two different opposite things come in contact with each other, there is always some kind of, sound. So sound is the most important thing to make us awake. For example, suppose a thief comes and enters in the house and everybody is sleeping. How will you recognize you are sleeping? All your five senses are not functioning. You can't touch the thief and find out that this is a thief. You are lying in your bed. You can't lick the thief and find out. No. The taste of the thief is unheard of. Smell? No. Eyes are closed. So if there is a thief, how would you know? Unless there is some sound. He's walking or he's touching or something, can create sound and you immediately wake up. The sound is the most powerful sense, the hearing that can awake us. So, out of all the processes, the sound vibration. Now, what kind of vibrations? The material sound has different wavelengths. Ultrasound. Go to the hospital and you want to get some checking. The echo, the sound vibration that will identify something because it is reflected and then you get a graph of it. The sound vibration. But subtle sounds, they're called microwaves. The electrical waves, they also create sound, but impact that creates heat, energy. But beyond You know, even the rays have different wavelengths. Sound has different wavelengths. But this is called transcendental wavelength, which is going in the minus side, very subtle sounds. They are through the hymns of the Vedas. The hymns of Vedas create specific, that they are chanted in specific meter, some way that they create the transcendental sound. Om itself creates transcendental sound, you know. And transcendental sound represents the transcendental entity. The origin of everything. Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo attaha sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhava samandita. Buddha bhava means intelligent. One who is intelligent enough, they understand me, that I am the origin of everything. Everything emanates from me and is also Krishna has given us consciousness to dovetail our consciousness towards Krishna's consciousness. That is called art of living. That is called art of living. Because that is the Supreme's consciousness. You know, he has already chalked out the plan. He even constructed this material nature out of nothing, simply by saying, you know, he created everything. because his glance is so powerful and transcendental that everything is reflected. So this material world is called the world of reflections. But what is that origin then? If this world is a reflection, and where is the origin? That is the spiritual realm. And spiritual realm is varieties. We do not see much variety here. Now tell me, in the lifestyle that we live in India, has much variety than in the United States or not? So where will you get so much varieties of happiness? In India or United States? Why do you want to? Huh? Who's saying United States? Huh? What do you get here? Roller skater? That's called variety. Only in Texas they graze the cow, and that is also wild cow. But in India, everybody knows to raise cows in their home, to make them, as a family member. So much varieties of relationships you can build. So, what that has to do? Because the soul is ever joyful and wants to enjoy varieties. Varieties is the mother of invention. How much joy do you get in playing with the plastic? See, when you put on the roller skate and you tied up your knees and wrist and everything with protective, what do you call it? Gloves? Gear, protective gear. And yet you fell, right? It's good that you didn't cry because you are a brave girl. Well, what can you do? Do you think it was more fun? Oh, if you fall down, it's not fun. Where did the fun go away? Right. I don't feel fun with the mask on. So, do you have any questions about the sound vibration of spiritual wavelength that touches your soul and Krishna's the super soul? That is what Hare Krishna Mahamudra is all about. Always remain in communication with Krishna. True? Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,